can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend in some hockey town. With a pucked up parents, frozen toes, big hearts, bad luck. With a pucked up parents, one more tourney, one more puck. We're broke, we're loud, we love this grind. Cause our kid just scored and we lost our minds.
And welcome to episode 4 of Pucked Up Parents. We have 3 under our belt. Here's number 4. Angela, for those who have maybe jumping into episode 4 and not listening to the first 3, why don't you tell them what we're all about?
Hi, so we are novice hockey parents in a non-traditional hockey town, talking about what we've learned over the last 12 years of being hockey parents, the weird rules and rituals and chaos of youth hockey life.
Right, and from a parent's perspective, and I'll point out that that non-traditional, city, or let's, just say the entire state is Kentucky. We are Kentucky hockey parents, if you can wrap your mind around that. So, anyway, we came out of a hockey weekend. Angela, any observations before I get to mine?
Well, so we had snow in the region over the weekend, which again, we're a non-traditional hockey town. We're not as used to snow as some other areas. So, as everyone knows, hockey doesn't get canceled because of the snow. So, yeah, Sunday morning, I got to drive through the snow to a local rink, and then Sunday afternoon, got to drive through some more snow to a rink a little bit further away. It was one of those situations where you might have had one lane in the freeway cleared, but that was it if you were lucky. But we survived. It was a good weekend. Got one close game Sunday morning and a win Sunday afternoon. So all good there.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sorry you were here in the snow. As you know, we split the family up over the weekend, and I flew out to sunny Los Angeles with our 12-year-old. So, not a hockey trip, just a father-son getaway in December. And actually had a couple of hockey observations while I was out there. Number one, we went there to see not just some of our friends we have out in Los Angeles, but we also saw Shoresy scrimmage on ice. And if you don't know what Shoresy is, look it up. It is a hockey show. It's, kind of rated R, so don't let the kids watch, and the actors that play the characters are actually former hockey players, so they scrimmaged some LA Kings, and that was fun. Henry, our 12U, was with me, and one of the hockey players from Shoresy played with no helmet, so we were really flabbergasted about that. Granted, they weren't hitting hard or anything like that, but it's still the puck's flying around, and this guy's out there with no helmet, so it looked very old school.
Yeah. It was a charity game, right?
It was a charity game. They raised $20,000 for, like, an LA Kings children's fund, and, yeah, it was a great time, and I can't recommend enough to any listeners who love hockey and love rated R humor. Check out Shoresy. It's on Hulu. That's my plug for the day. And my other observation was, again, our theme song, you heard it coming in, spilling coffee everywhere. I got a brand new Pucked Up Parents t-shirt, which Angela had bought for me. I wore it on the beach while I was carrying a cup of coffee, and darned if I didn't spill it all over my shirt and stain it. So I was like a woman in the 1800s out in the ocean scrubbing this shirt trying to get the stains out. I think I might have gotten the stains out. But anyway, let's get to this episode's topic. So what do you want to cover first?
Well, let's do just a quick recap. If anybody missed last episode, we talked about USA Hockey memberships, a lot of the growth in the younger age groups, as well as girls hockey is seeing a lot of growth. We talked a little bit about that, but I think we'll do another episode on girls at some point. But we talked a lot about the little people, the mites and the mini mites, so the 8U guys. But today I wanted to talk about practice and all the different things that go on, not only at practice, but what we as parents do during practice.
Practice. Let's talk about
Um,
practice. Remember the Ellen Allen? Practice. Practice.
yeah,
What about practice?
well, and
Prac-
here's the thing. I want to say practice makes progress. Practice doesn't make perfect because I don't know that there's anything such thing as perfect. And I think our whole goal with the kids in playing hockey is just to have fun and improve and better your skills, but I don't think there's any way to make perfect. So practice makes progress is what I'm going to say.
So let's start with this. So we've been from a 5-year-old for ourselves, and right now we have a senior in high school, and we've seen the progression of practices throughout the age groups. Do you kind of want to start with the little guys, the mites? I mean, we talked about mites last week, but we really didn't dwell on their practices. Is that the best place to start? Because the seniors are way more organized practices, like you're thinking they're running drills and how they're gonna play and what they're gonna do in the game time, but the little guys are quite a bit different.
Yeah, well, and I think that the little guys and the kids that are just learning to play, whether they're little or they're older, initially skating is such an important piece of it, and this kind of gross motor development stuff, and learning how to stay up on the skates, and learning that balance and agility and coordination of not only skating but holding the stick, handling the puck, all of those things. And so what we've seen with especially the younger ones, that there's a lot of what I'll call props involved
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
lot of
that's true.
games. A lot of games involved, and it looks like they're out there playing dodgeball with a beach ball on the ice, but really, they're working on their skating skills. They're working on starting and stopping and moving by playing dodgeball or sharks and minnows or a lot of those other little games that they play at the younger age group. And it's really developing their skills while they're playing. And I think that's interesting to me. And I think it's important because it keeps the kids engaged, it keeps them having fun while they're also building their hockey skills.
Now remind me, I can't quite remember. You run in because clearly the precursor for me for hockey practice is the learn to skate. We covered last week. Were we doing that simultaneously while they were in playing hockey? Were we advancing through learn to skate, or had we already moved on when they were starting to play hockey?
I think they just did learn to skate initially, and then as they started to learn to play hockey and mites, then the skating practice.
Okay.
Even I do recall over the years, especially when they were younger, because we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we don't really hang out and watch practice anymore. But when they were younger, we did, and I do remember some of the skating instructors coming out to the hockey practices, especially when the kids were just learning to skate and working on a lot of those skating skills, a lot of the starts and the stops and ups and downs and edge work, which is another one of those terms that I'll throw out there to see if you remember.
Yeah, so let's break this down. So let's talk the little guys, the mites, and I remember the practices where if you have a mite team or just a one singular team, chances are they don't have the entire ice to themselves, unless you have an immaculate, amazing number of rinks. And the rink is divided in what we've seen into stations, and each station's ran by a coach, or it may be ran by like a varsity hockey player. So those stations, and you kind of went through them a little earlier, fairly quickly, but such stations might be they're gonna throw some props on the floor. I think they threw, like, stuffed animals or something and had the kids, like, pick stuff up and put them in a bucket, and the goal there was to make the kids stay on their balance, to make the kids be able to bend over if they fell down to get back up again. What are the other stations that I'm thinking of or that I'm missing that these little guys did?
Well, I think there was a lot of that up and down stuff. There's a lot of the sliding on your belly and then jumping, trying to get back up on your skates, rolling over, stepping over things and jumping over things, whether it be sticks or pads, lots of cones and tires to skate around.
Obstacles for your kids to trip over. I clearly remember the pads and the sticks, and, these kids,
Yeah.
they have to learn to jump on skates, which isn't easy. For me at 47, I can't skate anyway, but I can't imagine being a six-year-old, and they take little steps across of them and end up tripping, and the stick goes flying. Also, I
Well,
remember.
and they do full on obstacle courses sometimes too.
Oh, yeah, it's like Double Dare. Remember Double Dare? It's like a full-on,
Yeah.
obstacle course. And there was also one I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, "Why are the kids holding the sticks upside down?" And they were, like, scooting the puck with the tip of the stick. Or was it
So I
a
think
ring or
no, it's a little ring, and I think those are called ringettes, and it reminds me of, like, a giant washer
yeah, oh,
because 'cause it's
a
got, like, a
yeah,
hole in the center or a donut, like some sort of a donut kind of thing,
a ring.
and they Yeah.
cheap engagement ring like I got you when we got married.
Yeah, ha ha. But yeah, it just more, I guess, props is the word that we're using to engage the kids, to get them to try different things. It gets to the point where they're almost natural on the skates, and they're doing all of the moves and the starts and the stops and changing direction and, jumping and sliding and gliding and
Well,
all of
that's
those things naturally.
right, and that's absolutely true because if you think about it, when you do a learn to skate, or if you actually drilled them like you would, older kids and said, "Hey, go skate," on one foot, it gets in the kid's head. They're thinking about, "I gotta skate on one foot. I gotta skate on one foot." But if you say, "Weave in and out of these cones," or pick up these animals, these stuffed animals off and put them into a bucket, their mind is not focusing, is not playing back what they have to do. They're just doing the task, not even thinking about it, and developing that skate skill. And
Right.
I know a few of the skate skills also was skating on one foot. There was a lot of that, like skate all the way crisscross across the rink on one foot. The other one was the, backward skating, and do you remember the game they used to do for backward skating?
And the bumper butts.
Bumper butts, that was cute as hell, the bumper butts.
They put them in the middle of
Little
a face-off circle on
butt.
the ice and, skate backwards and try to push each other out using their backsides.
Yeah, it was like an odd ice twerking of sorts where they're just trying to ram another kid with their ass. So but it's funny because 'cause they're wearing those big pants and they're just trying to bump each other. Basically, like, they're putting it's almost like a reverse a sumo wrestling type because they put them in the circle and they try to bump the other players out of the circle. So it's like a little
Yeah, like bumper cars.
working bumper cars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
What else
yeah.
is the kickball was a big thing. Putting a when they tossed a kickball out there, I'm like, "What's going on?" And in my head, when they were out there, well, kickball and they put a beach ball out there too, I'm like, "One of those blades are gonna pop that ball. It's gonna happen," but it never did.
Yeah, well, who cares if the beach ball from the Dollar Tree got popped? We'll go get another one. It's about, teaching the kids the skills and getting them comfortable on the ice. So, yeah, I think that's where so much of the practice starts, especially with the little ones. I know USA Hockey has development plans with a lot of those different games and drills and whatnot with it. But as they progress along, they get into doing more of the stick handling and the passing, doing some of those kinds of the edge work. I mentioned that earlier, which is more of the technical skating where they're on their inside edge or outside edge, getting them used to using both edges. Because I don't know if you know this, the way hockey skates are sharpened, there's kind of a U cut in them, and they actually have two edges on each skate.
Oh, yeah, I totally knew that. Remember, I was gonna open
Okay.
a skate shop in the garage to sharpen
Oh,
skates.
that's right.
Part of my learning that I took for about 5 minutes. Now
That's right.
there are some, there's also, like, team development type competitions that they do have, and I remember the one where they would put the sticks under their armpits, and then somebody would basically, the other kid would grab from behind, grab the sticks, and they'd have to tow them, like, and the other kid had
Almost like a wheelbarrow race, except on
it was a
ice.
wheelbarrow race, but if I remember correctly, like, the other kid was, like, trying to throttle and stop them from going, and you had to,
Yeah, so
like,
that's
rock.
building. Yeah, 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 that's building strength in the stride of the skate. But those kinds of drills, lots and lots of passing drills, those kinds of things. And then they get really complicated. Our kids now get practice plans, and there are these apps on your phone where you get an email saying, "Hey, here's today's practice plan. Here are all the drills," and there's all these squiggly lines and dots moving around on the screen showing the kids what the practice plan is. Have you ever looked at those?
I rarely looked at those, but I do see when I watch them out there and I'm dropping them off or picking them up, and they're running these drills out on the ice with the whole team, and the kids are like perfectly in sync, weaving in and out of each other, almost barely missing each other. It's almost like a coordinated dance, and it's incredible. And then they're running like while they're skating 6 or 7 tasks, go reverse, 1 foot, and all that stuff. And it's so well organized and synced up. These kids have it drilled. It's almost like an army, a marine drilling of where they know what steps and what they have to do. So that is incredible, and that gets so much better as they get older and gets more in sync. And it tells you how disciplined and how good these kids are on the ice and how they know what the other players are doing.
Well, I know when I look at the practice plans, I get confused. So I would be so lost on the ice. I would not know which cone to go around and where to weave in and out. I would be so lost. It just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines on a page to me.
Yeah, that's why I don't read it. I don't want to feel stupid. Um, that Hockey for Dummies book, and I truly felt like a dummy.
Yeah, I think the other big thing at practices are small area games. We talked a little bit about that on last episode about mites and how they play half ice. But I think even as the kids develop and they get older and they are playing full ice, a lot of times they will practice in a small area. And I've read many times and heard from many coaches that the small area game is really important. And that's where they, kind of get in and start figuring out how to dig the puck off the boards or, kind of battle on the boards, those kinds of things. And then have those outnumbered games where it's a 2-on-1 defense situation or vice versa.
Simulating the power play or just simulating having to be a breakaway, a 2-on-1. So these 2 the, you know, 3-on-1 or 2-on-1 gets them ready for that. The other thing I really liked in those, what would you call them? The little games or the mini scrimmages or whatever it is when the coach, especially, at the younger age, would throw that like a big pad in front of the net, and it forced those kids to lift that puck because when they're playing mites and they shoot goals, 9 times out of 10, that goal is it's just flat, sliding across the ice, and once the goalie learns how to stop those easily, it's now time to start picking that puck up and throwing it over the shoulder or, wrapping it around or something like that, and
Top shelf,
top shelf, thank you. Putting that pad in front of the
bar down.
forces them to lift that puck up and learn how to shoot high in the corners, behind the net, whatever.
Right. Well, you also know, like if there's not a goalie at practice, they'll put one of those barriers over the
Yeah,
front of the net with the little holes in it. I think it's called a shooter tutor or something along those lines.
shooter, what a terrible name. Can't come up
I
with
know, right?
that. What about the little, half stick men with, like, the sticks that go down that almost look like, pardon this is a PG-13, podcast. It looks like their junk is, like, floating on the you know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure everybody
Yeah, it's the it's
do they have a
essentially
funny
like the
name?
I don't know if those have a name or not. It's the lower hat, like it looks like, somebody standing there with their stick on the ice. So it looks like just the feet and a stick, but it's
Yeah, they're thick. Mhm.
only yeah.
Yeah, I can come up with
It's
a dozen names, probably not appropriate, but, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we are not hockey experts, so I don't wanna get too in the weeds of what's going on at practice
Right,
because
and the focus of this podcast is not the drills and the practices and the strategies. We don't do that. Honestly, we couldn't do that. But it's just the expectation of what to expect as a parent if you walk out to watch a hockey practice. Because I know Angela and I would show up to practices and see them bringing out these little half men or throwing a pad in front of the net, and we'd have to sit there and watch to say, okay, why did they set it up this way? What are they learning from this?
right, but I think all of those things and it's breaking skills down, and back in the day, I was a coach and of obviously a different sport, but, you break the skills down into smaller bits, and that's how you train them, and that's what's going on there, and that's what all those props and training aids and what have you are for, but I think the bottom line is that the idea is, let the kids practice, let them have fun. If it's fun and they stay engaged, they're gonna develop.
Your
Um,
memory banks, what on all those mic practices and even up to squirt, what was the last practice event relay of every practice? Do you remember?
Usually a scrimmage.
Oh, the
Oh,
Sharks
the sharks and minnows,
Sharks
yeah.
and Minnows, so it's almost like they would stick coaches would be in the middle of the ice, and the kids would be on one end, and they'd have to skate all the way through, and the coaches would throw their gloves at them. They had to s the co coaches had to stay within the blue line. If you got hit with a glove, you were now a shark, and you had to go after the other kids who were still minnows. It was almost like a dodgeball,
Like a dodgeball tag
redemption
sorta
type thing.
game. Yeah, yeah.
They closed out every one of those, and it also showed kids how to avoid, other kids because man, it was like chaos when they would start that game out.
Yeah, again, that's another skating drill, teaching them how to start and stop and all the agility and coordination. But I guess what I wanna get to now is let's talk about what we as parents do during practice. We mentioned earlier that we used to go to the mite practices and the practices when they were younger, and as the kids got older, it was more of a drop off and do something else kind of practice. So for a while, our kids were playing close to home, so we would drop off and go home, and you'd go home, make dinner, or do chores or whatever you were going to do in that evening. But as the kids started playing at a rink that's further away, we really didn't have time to drop them off at practice, get home, and then get back to pick up. So we started coming up with things to do during practice.
Right,
So
so
I know,
when they were super young, you kinda stuck around because you were just A, you were curious, and B, you were almost like when Sam started playing 6, I was concerned, is he gonna get hurt or is he gonna burst out into tears? You know, he never did, but it was more of me learn and also I was learning the game. But, yeah, I became notorious in the rink with Sam's coaches, and it even goes back to baseball. I was the guy who sat up there with a book. Like, I'd be bundled up and have a book. I like to read books. I would look up when Sam or Henry were doing their drills, but if it was other kids out on the ice or other kids scrimmaging out there, my nose was in the book. But that got old pretty quick. What did you do initially or to this day?
I
'Cause,
mean, I think
uh, to the listeners, Angela and I always split the practices. I would take one kid, she would take the other kid. We were never at practices together,
very rarely,
very, very rarely.
'cause, they were always at different rinks, so
Right,
that was part of the issue. I there for a while, I was doing all of our grocery shopping, all of our food
right.
shopping.
A fun
Um,
fact, there's an Aldi right near our rink that our kids play at that's far away, so Angela had got the old trusty quarter out to get the, shopping cart and
yeah, so I did a lot of grocery shopping. There was also a Target not too far away, so I'd do that. There was a Costco not too far. I would do a lot of errands, lots of running errands while at practice. I've now closed 3 gyms near that rink.
you're like the
Uh,
Angela is the gym grim reaper. I found a great gym, we talked about this briefly last week. I was up there for 3 years. The owner was gracious enough to split us a membership, like $100 for the entire season. It was awesome. I could run down there, and, the grim reaper pulls up her Instagram 2 weeks ago, and my gym shut down.
okay, in all fairness, the first gym that closed, it closed during COVID, so I don't think that was my fault.
It was your gym.
Um
Go on, number 2.
And then the other one, the second one that closed, actually, they didn't close, they just moved, so I'm not able to go there anymore because they moved, further away than I'm
Closed
willing to drive during practice,
relocation.
so
They closed the one near you, and the 3rd one shut down because the city bought the building, but yeah,
he bought the building, so, yeah, it's not my fault.
I've been shopping around
Um,
for gyms around there, so I think if I do join one this time, I'm not gonna disclose its location to you because 'cause I'm afraid you'll shut
yeah.
or
Okay, so aside from reading books, running errands, going to the gym, I've also worked during practice.
I put that out I actually put it out on our Facebook page and a couple other and I asked people what they did, and that was the biggest response I got. People work from the rink.
Yeah,
Me,
yeah,
when I leave that office, everything stays at the office.
yeah, I know.
The other one I got in the comments was, "I judge the coaches." So this is the hardcore hockey parents. You know who you are out there. You're the person standing on the glass with your arms crossed and, criticizing everything that the coach is doing with your kid.
Well, you say that, but I'm gonna shout out the parents who help out. So the parents who are coaches, the parents who are helping with the equipment, doing all of those other things during practice, a shout out to them. I am wholly unqualified to do any of that. So I've never really done much of that. But shout out to those parents that help out with the coaching and help out just with the practices in general.
Can I talk about one more thing that we used to we disagreed with on practices that would come up quite a bit? I don't know why I always could forget. I'm like, what time does practice start? And you're like, it's at 6:30, but they got to be there at 5:30. And that was my argument of no, that means practice starts at 5:30. If I'm showing up an hour early, or I just need to know what time I need to be there. But yeah, so for most practices, you're showing up 30, 40, even up to an hour ahead of time to get the kids ready, especially at a younger age. And I don't think they do warm-ups before.
Yeah, the older kids are doing warm-ups before practice. The little ones, it's more how much time does it take to get their equipment on,
You
whereas the
might
older ones,
might
there's
you might parents in the rink or, getting them ready before practice, it's chaos. All the kids are screaming and you're squoze in between other parents trying to tie skates and get the gear on and taping them all up. just to get them on practice at time. And Henry was the biggest stickler about getting on the ice right on time, right when it started. And my gosh, if we were late, he let us have it.
Yeah, he was not happy about that. He's still kinda like that because 'cause we'll be in the car driving to the rink, and he'll be like, "What time does practice start? Are we gonna be there on time?" And right now, the timing of his practices includes us driving through traffic, so that can be questionable.
Now, have you ever seen, I've not ever experienced this, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. Are there such things as closed off practices to parents to avoid these judgmental parents? I know there's been tryouts where that's occurred, but as far as practices go, I think most of them are open.
I've never seen a practice closed down. We've seen tryouts, kinda blacked out, but I've never seen a practice. I'm not saying that that wouldn't happen somewhere, but I've never seen it. I do speaking of, I gotta do one more shout out on what we do during practices, because I did this last night. So our No, I didn't buy your Christmas gift. I went to the bar with 2 of my hockey mom friends and had
Right.
pizza and beer.
We had pizza and beer, and the rink that, one of our rinks that we practice at has a bar in it. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, so I
so
can't
easy
leave
on the
that part
time. Sounds like
out.
a lot, especially if you gotta drive your kids home, just have a 1 or, 1 or 2, but yeah, I forgot about that, going to a sports bar and watching some
Yeah,
sports action and have a couple of brewskis.
yeah, so that's another, and then I will say this too, I remember several years ago, we had parents on the team who would drop the kid off and go have date night during hockey
That's
practice.
lame. I don't agree with that. That seems you're I don't wanna offend anybody. Your marriage is in trouble.
No, I mean, just to go have dinner while the kid's at practice? I mean, come on.
You're just going out for dinner during practice. If you and I did that, it would just be us having dinner during practice. I wouldn't call it a date. A date is more.
Well, I mean, okay, so maybe calling it date night was a little much, but saying, go have dinner with your spouse during practice. Point being is us as working parents with kids that are playing hockey, we've got a lot going on. Use the time, let your kid develop, let your kid have fun at practice and go do something for yourself, whatever that may be.
That's a great point because just using us or using me as example, and I'll average it out. Let's say you live 20 minutes from the rink. And we'll just say 30 for a roundabout number. So, okay, I get up in the morning, I go to work. I fight traffic to get to work. I get off work, fight traffic to get home. I get home, get the 12U player ready, get his water, get his stuff in the car. I go fight traffic again to get to the rink. I get to the rink. He does his practice. I do my me time. Then he finishes. I come home, and if depending on what Angela's doing, or whatever's going on, I may have to make dinner. I got to feed the 12U, get him in the shower, get the homework done, and maybe have 20 minutes, 30 minutes before I doze off on the couch watch TV. So yeah, to your point, that 1 hour, 1.5 hour while they're practicing and no other kids are around, that is the me time. Sometimes I'll sit in the car at the rink and scroll on my phone. I'll go for a run. I will go to the gym, go shopping, but that is the only time of the day that I have free time to myself.
I gotta say one more thing that I've done during practice. So when our oldest had that really late practice a couple of years ago where they practice at 9:30, 10 o'clock,
Oh,
I
yeah, that
would
was like an
nap
hour
in the
down the street from
car.
us. We were going from, Cincinnati excuse me, Northern Kentucky to Dayton, Ohio. I don't know what possessed us to do that, but what did you do up there?
Well, I would take a nap in the car because we drive up there, it'd take an
That's so
hour to
sad.
drive up there, drop them off like a homeless person sitting in the rink parking lot taking a nap.
Okay, full disclosure, I'm a firefighter, and I can't tell you how many runs I've been on where somebody's been slumped over a steering wheel. The bystander calls and says, "Hey, we got a person in a car, like a Buick, slumped over in a parking lot. So, did you ever get the fire department called on you to break the window?
No one ever called the fire department on me, and I didn't do that
Crack
that
the windows on
often, but
your
I'm
roof?"
just saying that, those late night practices, I was tired and I still had an hour drive home.
Did you crack the window open to get some air in?
It's cold, it's winter time, it's hockey season.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. I wish I had video footage of it. I would throw it on our page.
No, no, no.
Sleeping in the
But, I think the other point, not only us as parents getting a little bit of me time, I think having the kids practice and learn to take instruction from their coaches and not having mom and dad overlook them all the time is a good thing too. I think that allows them some independence and some development, as well.
It's a progression. You're a helicopter from the start, and then by the time they're old enough, you're slowly moving away from the practices. You might pop in for a few minutes, and then once they get their driver's license, it's like, I'm staying home, and that's where we're at with our oldest. So it goes from full on helicopter to you may not even go to a practice all season.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. So I think that's maybe that's the tip of the week is to allow yourself some me time during practice and allow your kids to do their own thing and start developing some of those independent
Or I have
skills.
one more thing I used to do.
Okay.
There used to be a great soul food restaurant near the rink, and I would
Oh yeah.
table for one, fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, and then, like, some cobbler to polish it all off. I think that was pre before I joined the gym.
Yeah.
I felt a little guilty in joining the gym, but yeah, a table for one in a nice restaurant. So, a date night with myself.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
luckily, I put out.
Jeez. I think COVID killed that place too,
I think
by the way.
and my gut needed to go to the gym.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, anyways, that's a lot of what we were, kind of thinking about talking about this episode and tip of the week, take some time for yourself. We all need it.
Yeah, take some time for yourself, but don't ignore your kid. You know, walk in the ring, throw the finger guns at the other parents. "Hey, Bill, how you doing? What's up, Melody? How you doing? Hey, your kid looked good last weekend." And then dip out. Go do something else.
Oh yeah. So I think we've kind of rounded out, a lot of what goes on at practice and away from practice. I do want to say that I think our next episode we're going to try to have a guest speaker or guest host with us.
Well, that's exciting. Who do we have? The Miracle on Ice team?
No, we don't have a Miracle on Ice team. We have a goalie mom
A goalie
because
mom.
we're going to talk all things goalie.
Oh man, so if you have questions for these for a goalie parent, go to our Facebook page, Pucked Up Parents. Go to Instagram, instant message us through. You can do it through Spotify. We're actually getting questions through Spotify. If you have any questions for goalie parents, my gosh, the stresses they must,
That's one area we don't have personal experience.
which is good because I would probably be on my first heart attack right now.
Right. So I think we're going to get some insight on goalies next episode. So that should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. But speaking of comments on Spotify and some of the other platforms, please follow, subscribe, and share. Put your comments out there. We're going to be happy to reply to them. I know we're replying to lots of comments and posts on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
So reach out to us.
We did get a question which we answered, and we'll answer it on here. It was a gentleman who was moving from Canada to US, and his 8U son was gonna play hockey. So his question was, what are the games designed like? I pointed him to episode 3, but basically we told him it was split ice. And he also asked about the probability of playing up. Is it allowed in the States? And the answer to that is yes. USA Hockey does allow for kids to play up, where our kid, for example, played mites and squirts, and he played squirts and peewees. However, I pointed out that it would be dependent on your league and probably your coaches. If the peewee
Yeah.
team is amazing and they have superstars and your kid's a squirt, may not be able to get pulled up to that league. But if they're in need and your kid has talent, they may pull you up. So it's all dependent on the league and the coaches that you're playing with. But USA Hockey does allow it. Now,
Yeah, and I think that's really situational too.
it's absolutely.
Yeah, so it's definitely something to ask about and to talk to coaches and associations about for sure.
I've also opened up on because the Facebook page is more of our podcast page. I opened up a forum page, a community forum page where anybody can post anything to ask questions. You can post anonymously to start some chatter between hockey parents. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to cover it on the podcast, but what it is just opening up a forum to ask questions. Now, there's other groups out there which we're parts of, but we just opened one up ourselves to pull some content and answer questions as best we can. Of course, we're from
We
Kentucky.
may ask some questions too.
We're non-traditional. We are probably gonna have questions too. Actually, I think I stuck the first one out there as it was. So, but anyway, and we have merch. Like I said, if you spill coffee on it and need to clean it in the ocean, it actually works. So check out our Pucked Up Parents merchandise. So
Yep.
next episode, we're gonna talk goalies. So exciting stuff. Episode 5 will be goalies, and we'll have a special guest. Angela, what else do you have before we close out this episode?
I think that's it. Just I want to remind everybody to follow, subscribe, share, comment on whatever platform you are listening on. We would greatly appreciate it.
I agree. What did we learn today? Take care of yourself out there. Take some time to yourself and go watch Shoresy. Great TV show. So, as we say when we close out every episode, keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together. Thank you.
Out before dawn, can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another